From Guyana, the region and the world. Compiled in the News Talk Radio newsroom and powered by DemeraraWaves.com.
Good day with your major newscast. I am Jessica Daw. First with the highlights. The newly elected leader of the People's National Congress Reform hinted at changes of the parliamentary opposition. Leader-elect of the People's National Congress Reform, Aubrey Norton, assured that members from other slates will be included in the leadership of the party. Mr. Joseph Harmon says he will still be opposition leader, although Aubrey Norton has been elected leader of the People's National Congress Reform. The new Marco to Great Diamond Road was officially opened this morning. And in the region, Barbadians are enjoying free shopping on the island today, Monday, December 20th. And we get the latest bulletin of international news from the BBC World Service. Do stay tuned for the details after this break.
Advertise with us on News Talk Radio Guyana 103.1 FM for best coverage on programs on motivation, beauty and health, parenting and relationships, knowing your rights, and a variety of enlightening content, and get value for your money. Call our helpful staff today on 223-1056 or 223-1041 today.
Now for the news in detail. Newly elected leader of the People's National Congress Reform, PNCR, Aubrey Norton, has hinted at changes in the parliamentary opposition in the National Assembly. Speaking to News Talk Radio 103.1 FM following the official announcement of Mr. Norton taking over the reins of the PNCR. The new leader says there is likely to be some changes at Parliament level, which may involve the opposition leader being replaced. Norton says while not the priority, the executives of the party will decide.
The question of what steps will be taken will be discussed with the executive, and then based on the decisions of the executive, we'll move forward. I could say to you, however, is that one thing that is evident is that the party comrades who would have elected me seem to have suggested by the mandate that there is need for change at the parliamentary level.
Opposition leader Joseph Harmon had said during the party internal campaign that the leader of the party and the opposition leader should be the one person following traditions of former leaders of the PNCR. Mr. Harmon, after conceding to Mr. Norton, is now saying that he will remain opposition leader while his status in the party will be an ordinary member. Mr. Norton declined to comment to Mr. Harmon's latest position, but will only say that the party will discuss and decide the way forward. Leader of the People's National Congress Reform, Aubrey Norton, says members who contested for other slates will not be excluded from serving. Mr. Norton says the party was involved in an internal competition to elect a new leader, but they will also be involved. Mr. Norton says he briefed his competitors about his posture going forward.
And I made it very clear to them that as far as I'm concerned, we were in an internal competition. That internal competition is over. We now need to work together. I will involve them in the various committees and sections of the party and build a united front to take on the People's Progressive Party.
The new leader says the party will specifically make opportunities available for the members to get involved, working together as a party to achieve its objectives.
And then there are other things that I think can be done to show that those who might have campaigned for other persons to be involved. I mentioned placing them on committees. I mentioned speaking at the individual level, which I have begun, but there are other things that will be done in the party to ensure all of us work together for the common good of Guyana, which unfortunately is synonymous with getting rid of the People's Progressive Party.
Mr. Norton, who won the leader's position by a landslide, also carried most of the top executive spots for the Central Executive Committee. He says his priority now is to unify the party. Mr. Joseph Harmon on Sunday said he would remain Guyana's opposition leader, although he was defeated by Aubrey Norton for the post of the leader of the People's National Congress Reform, PNCR, which controls the opposition coalition. He noted that he would remain as an ordinary member of the PNCR, but would still be leader of the opposition, a national constitutional office. Former PNCR leader David Granger, who is chairman of the PNCR-led A Partnership for National Unity, APNU, is legally the representative of the list of candidates for the coalition of APNU plus Alliance for Change, and so he enjoys the power of recall and replacement of parliamentarians. In the weeks running up to Saturday's election, Mr. Harmon had pointed to the trend in which the PNCR leader is the opposition leader and had said that that had been his goal. For his part, Mr. Norton had not committed himself on the topic when he had been quizzed about whether he would seek the replacement of Mr. Harmon as opposition leader. Instead, Mr. Norton had indicated that would be a matter for the party to decide. The Alliance for Change AFC is welcoming the election of a new leader and executive of the People's National Congress Reform, PNCR. The AFC says it hopes that the new executive will strengthen the opposition against the wrongdoings of the government, ensuring that better benefits flow to Guyanese. According to the AFC, a stronger opposition is needed to confront the ills of Guyanese present circumstances and prepare to meet the socio-economic changes that are rapidly evolving. The AFC says Guyanese anxious and impatient for change, and we must meet their expectations. Thousands of commuters along the East Bank corridor are expected to breathe a sigh of relief with the opening this morning of the Moko to Little Diamond Road. President Irfan Ali this morning officially commissioned the road. Speaking at the event, he said the cameras have been installed to detect speeding motorists, and the law will soon be amended to send tickets to errant motorists.
We have designed a safe road usage plan. And in that plan along this road, we envision 3 police outposts. 3 police outposts. 2 of those outposts are already in place. The next phase, which will be very soon, is to connect cameras to those outposts. And you know we're testing right now with the cameras speeding. And I'm very happy to inform you that the cameras can even pick up if you have your seatbelt on. So there are some amendments that will be made to the law to allow for electronic ticketing.
The president is also warning motorists against racing on the Moko to Little Diamond Road. He also says that heavy-duty vehicles will not be allowed on that road.
This road is designed for a specific category of vehicle, and that is small vehicle SUVs. The big trucks, you will see barriers. If you think it is your responsibility to take down the barriers because you want to break the law, there will be consequences, and you will face the consequences. So all of us in this society, we have to start to learn that we all have a responsibility. And our responsibility is not only to build, but to take care of what we build.
The president also says that a jogging path may soon be constructed along the roadway as part of the government's vision for health and wellness. Now for the news in the region. In Barbados, many business owners are pleased with the proposed VAT-free shopping day today, Monday, December 20.
Barbadians are expected to descend on shopping outlets today to cash in on lower prices on VAT-free day, announced on Saturday by Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Ryan Strawn. Retailers spent most of Sunday readying their businesses for today, given the short turnaround time. Our news team spoke to business owners in the city on Sunday.
I must compliment the government on this idea. It's going to prove to be a huge help to the consumers. Truthfully, the private sector was not consulted, and the government gave us only 36 hours to prepare for it. Many of us have issues with our IT to try to get it right, to be in a position to serve our customers come Monday morning. And we will do what we have to do to get there.
It's always good to be a bit more prepared. Obviously, I had no idea that this was happening. 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, one of my supervisors brought to my attention that there was a press conference. And an hour later, this is what happened and transpired. So it didn't give us a lot of time, honestly, to clearly, look to get stocking, etc. Because only one day really on a Sunday. A lot of businesses won't open on Sundays. But in saying that, we got the ball rolling here in terms of making sure that our point of sale system and our inventory can deal with the removal of VAT or zero rate VAT on Monday, which we're going to do tonight. As we close tonight, and we update and post out everything, we're going to put that system in place so that tomorrow morning it's not really an issue.
In an update, President of the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Anthony Branker, assures that businesses have pulled out all the stops to update their IT systems so that customers can have a satisfying VAT-free day.
That was a Barbados Today news update on VAT-free shopping on the island. In this eyewitness report, the Prime Minister of the Bahamas calls on parliamentarians to be honorable at all times.
Prime Minister Philip Davis urging his fellow parliamentarians to be an example in and out of public life for others to follow. His comments came at a post-election seminar held last week hosted by the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. According to Prime Minister Davis, more unity is needed among members of the Honourable House.
Very election to office, honor is implied. We are, all of us, by the definition, deserving of respect or high regard. What flows from this is that we must at all times behave honorably, whether we are in or out of Parliament. In recent years, some of the theatrics of Parliament have, to my mind, fallen far below that standard. This is deeply, deeply regrettable and should be a cause for collective shame. We must do better, and by today, let us resolve to do better. We must maintain honor in debate and be honorable in our public lives.
Prime Minister of the Bahamas, Philip Davis, addressing parliamentarians. The Ministry of Housing and Urban Development in Trinidad distributed 20 housing units to families to kickstart a special housing project. More in this TNT Online News Report.
Families benefited from the construction of housing units in the constituencies of St. Joseph, Couva, Tabaquite, Talparo, and Sangre Grande on Saturday. In Sangre Grande, 7 families received the keys to their new homes through the Housing and Village Improvement Program HVI, and 10 people received certificates of comfort through the Land Settlement Agency LSA under the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. Line Minister Penelope Beckles said this was possible through the assistance of MP for Toko Sangre Grande, Roger Monroe.
It's not that the other MPs are not hardworking, but the majority of the beneficiaries today are from Toko Sangre Grande. But more importantly, because of the representation of the Honourable Member of Parliament for Toko Sangre Grande, those of you who made that request and he made the appropriate representation to the LSA, we are able to do that distribution today.
She said since the inception of the HVI program in 2017, the LSA has managed the construction of 289 residential units and the repair of an additional 18 units.
Construction also commenced on a further 112 units, and agreements have been signed to commence construction of an additional 47 units. The land settlement has also completed infrastructural works in Maruga, that's Samuel Cooper Village, and is engaged in 13 additional infrastructural projects.
Minister Beckles said the program is based on an aided self-help approach,
meaning that the beneficiaries were required to assist in the construction of their homes. As such, today's ceremony represents the culmination of hard work and resiliency guided by the hope for a brighter future.
She said it is all part of the LSA's and government's goal to improve the standard of living for citizens. The HVI program also seeks to undertake early and emergency works to upgrade basic infrastructure and amenities at the community level.
That was TNT Online News Report. And lastly, in the region, the Omicron COVID-19 variant effects more severe than that of Delta variant, experts find. More on this ABS Antigua Evening News Report.
The Omicron COVID-19 variant is more than 5 times more contagious than the Delta variant, and there is no evidence it's less severe. That's the early findings of a new study by UK's Imperial College London. A research team led by Professor Neil Ferguson studied England's PCR-confirmed COVID cases between November 29 and December 11. They said they found no evidence of Omicron having lower severity than Delta. This is judged by either the proportion of people testing positive who report symptoms or by the proportion of cases seeking hospital care after infection. However, the Delta included only 24 hospitalizations of patients suspected of having the Omicron variant, with researchers saying hospitalization data remains very limited at this time. The study, which is yet to be peer-reviewed, estimates the risk of reinfection with the Omicron variant is 5.4 times greater than that of the Delta variant.
And that's our regional news update. And now for international news coming from the BBC.
Hello, I'm Debbie Russ with the BBC News. Rebel Tigrayan forces fighting the Ethiopian government say they are withdrawing immediately from neighbouring regions and hope this can lead to a ceasefire. In recent weeks, pro-government troops have made significant military gains. Will Ross reports.
In a letter to the UN Secretary-General that was shared on social media, the head of the TPLF describes the decision to withdraw all his troops to Tigray as a bold move and an opening for peace. Debretsion Gebremichael wants an immediate ceasefire. He says people in Tigray are suffering unspeakable horrors, including starvation and drone strikes. The Ethiopian military's recent acquisition of drones is thought to have helped it recapture territory. This is another opportunity to end the war, but there's a lot to resolve, especially as part of Western Tigray, where some of the worst atrocities have taken place, is also claimed by the Amhara people.
Switzerland has become the latest country in Europe to introduce new COVID restrictions, including a mandatory order to work from home. Most public spaces will only be open to people who can prove they've been vaccinated. Cases of Omicron are surging across the continent. Dr. Andrea Amon is the director of the European Centre for Disease Prevention and Control.
What we're seeing right now is really high case notification rates and a slow but increasing death notification rate. In the EU, that is still currently driven by the Delta variant. Our predictions, though, say that within the next 2 months, Omicron is very likely to become predominant.
A court in Cairo has sentenced 3 prominent Egyptian activists to jail terms in trials widely condemned by human rights groups. Alaa Abdel Fattah, a key figure in the 2011 revolution, was given 5 years. The human rights lawyer Mohamed Al-Bagher and the blogger Mohamed Ibrahim received 4 years each. All were convicted of spreading false news and undermining national security. Sally Nabil reports from Cairo.
To many human rights supporters in Egypt, Alaa Abdel Fattah has become a symbol of freedom of expression. Sentencing this prominent political activist to 5 years in jail is seen by many campaigners as another attempt by the state to silence any form of opposition. Alaa was held in pre-trial detention for nearly 2 years until he was referred to court last October over charges of spreading false news. A few weeks ago, he threatened to take his own life due to the tough detention conditions.
Human Rights Watch is calling on Saudi Arabia to release a Yemeni man sentenced to 15 years in jail for renouncing Islam. Ali Abu Luham, who's in a prison near the border with Yemen, was convicted of posting tweets promoting apostasy and atheism. World News from the BBC. Doctors in Sudan say one man was shot dead during Sunday's protests against the country's military leaders. Hundreds of thousands of people demonstrated in Khartoum, and other protests took place around the country. There were more than 120 injuries resulting from clashes with police who fired tear gas. The protesters want the military to stay out of politics. Stock markets in Chile have fallen nearly 7% on opening following the election of the left-winger Gabriel Boric as president on Sunday. The president-elect has pledged to overhaul the country's economic model, but in his victory speech he also promised fiscal responsibility. The Chilean currency, the peso, also fell by more than 3%. Mr. Boric, the country's youngest ever president, beat a far-right candidate. The Turkish lira has fallen to a record low against major currencies after President Erdogan again stressed that he would not raise interest rates to tackle an inflation rate of more than 20%. The main Istanbul share index also lost more than 5% of its value, triggering a circuit breaker to stop trading for the second working day in a row. A Chinese influencer who sells products in live streaming events online has been fined more than $200 million for tax evasion. Our Asia-Pacific regional editor Michael Bristow has the details.
Via, as she's known online, is famed for being able to sell anything and in vast quantities. Her live streaming events are part entertainment, part hard sell, but she concealed some of her income and made false tax returns over a 2-year period. In an online post, she admitted the allegations and apologised to her tens of millions of fans. The size of the fine indicates the wealth accumulated by Via in just a few years. She's thought to be worth more than $1 billion. It also shows the immense scale of China's e-commerce market.
That's the latest. BBC News.
And that was your international news. Here now is a recap of your highlights. The newly elected leader of the People's National Congress Reform hinted at changes of the parliamentary opposition. Leader-elect of the People's National Congress Reform, Aubrey Norton, assured that members from other slates will be included in the leadership of the party. Mr. Joseph Harmon says he will still be opposition leader, although Aubrey Norton has been elected leader of the People's National Congress Reform. The new Mucka to Great Diamond Road was officially opened this morning. And in the region, Barbadians are enjoying free shopping on the island today, Monday, December 20th. Parliamentarians in the Bahamas urged to be good examples that befits an honorable member of the National Assembly. Some 20 families benefited from housing units from the Trinidad and Tobago Ministry of Housing in time for the holidays. And that was your major newscast. I am Jessica Daw.
This has been the news, compiled in the News Talk Radio Newsroom. For ongoing updates, visit demerarawaves.com, and you can check facebook.com/demwaves and twitter.com/demwaves.
The time now is 12 hours 24.